皆さん、こんにちは, and welcome to Shogo's podcast. I really want to thank Hitomi7. Is this the name on your YouTube account? Hitomi7, thank you so much for your request in the comments. I actually received a comment being asked from Hitomi7 about the pros and cons of living in Japan. It's something that I've simply never actually considered before, but maybe I'll make a YouTube short to my main channel too, but because I received requests, I'd love to answer this question. Now, I didn't take any memos before starting talking, so I'm just going to be talking about the things that just come to my mind. Maybe start from the good things then. Yeah, how about we start from the good things? The first thing that would immediately come to my mind, absolutely, would be that Japan is definitely safe. It's safe. And I'm not trying to say that Japan is like the security level is really high, blah 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 kind of stuff. What I think is that, again, as I always say in my videos, Japan is definitely an aging society, right? You know, the average age is 47.4, and about 1/3 of Japan's population is older than 65 years old, and so on and so forth. So, what should I say? In a good way, because everyone is just so old, not so many people are, what should I say, have the energy to, cause trouble or go around and do bad things. Of course, from an economic point of view, a young country that has a very low average age does have power, but we need to ask if it's safe or not. I think the answer will be no, because a majority of the population has a lot of power and energy. They might cause riots or, against the government or, stuff like that. Or maybe gangs and these kind of bad people might come up too. Just like Japan, had the age of Yakuza. And also, there was a lot of student demos in the past, against the government. Very violent ones too. In the past, like when my parents were children, or even younger, when my grandparents were still young, these things were quite common. But of course, now that the society has aged, basically, I guess, matured, if I say it in a good way, there's hardly any of these such events. And of course, it doesn't mean that Japan has like no incidents or crimes at all, of course. But I think as a person who has traveled to a few countries around the world and has lived in China for 1 year, I really feel that Japan is definitely a lot safer in terms of the people there, and of course of the buildings and the systems and such, to protect the elderly, and of course the younger generations can benefit from that too. So the first thing would definitely be that it's safe. And the other things that would come to my mind, for me, as a person who's training in multiple Japanese traditional culture, it's just great that the history and culture is like right there. Especially living in Kyoto, I mean, you can take a train ride for 10 minutes and you can see one of the world's, most beautiful temples or sceneries, nature and such. So I think that's definitely a big privilege. I mean, there are a lot of great, beautiful places around the world too. I've seen them before. Like I've been to the Grand Canyon before. I've been to the how do you say it in English? I don't know. The Great Wall in China. What's that word? Bani no Chojo is in Japanese. I don't know the English word for it, but I'm pretty sure you understand if I say the Great Wall, right? I've been to the Great Wall before. I've been to the palace, in China too. I've been to Europe too, in Germany, Austria. I've been to a lot of the beautiful places, but in Japan, especially if you're living in Kyoto or certain places, they're just really, really close by. You don't even need a car to get there. And especially if you're interested in the history too, like literally, like this was a place where, I don't know, Shinsengumi fought this battle, is like right next door. That is very exciting, I personally would say. But that's really up to you if you like it in the first place or not. But if you're interested in living in Japan, I guess that it could be one benefit. That is really you do need to choose where you live, of course, but if you choose like Tokyo or Osaka, maybe not Osaka history. Well, history, Osaka has been more of a city that has been the should I say, the business fields, developed in the business fields. So I would say there would be more history probably in Kyoto, Nara, and so on and so forth. That depends on what part of history you like, but well, I guess yeah, it's really close by. There's so many classes where you could just hop in and start learning something new. I think these things are really, really good. And I personally feel there's a lot of people that talks about good food too. But as a person who really doesn't, what should I say? I am a little bit picky, but still, I personally am a person who really likes Chinese food the most. And I am a big fan of ramen and sushi and such. But would I choose if there was Chinese food right in front of me or Japanese food? I would still choose Chinese food probably. So I guess the food is good, yeah. But me personally, I wouldn't put it in the list of things as the benefits of living in Japan. I would say definitely it's really safe. I feel really safe for raising my kids, for example, too. And yeah, it's just fun. On a holiday, if you have a day off, you can just go out for a walk and enjoy beautiful places. On your free time, you can train in something new and stuff. So I think those things are great. Yeah. And then talking about the bad things, well, the first thing that will immediately come to my mind is that Japan is definitely becoming a very poor country for sure. I've made a video talking about the cheap Japan in the past, and a lot of people are saying, yeah, Japan is so cheap. Well, what about my country? My country is much poorer, and yeah, I completely understand that. But we need to understand that Japan is the only country in the world that's the economy has been completely declining negatively, for more than 30 years. So if we compare Japan today with certain countries, it might seem that Japan is higher. But we need to see that in another 10, 20, 30 years, Japan is going to be way lower than compared to all the other countries around the world. Like, for example, the rate between dollars and yen right now, the money, the currency rate is really Japan's yen is becoming super, super cheap, and it's going to be a big impact in our society too. So that is very sad. And because of the aging society, taxes for everything are going higher, but we're paid less. So the economy is definitely declining for sure in Japan right now at the moment, with the lessening number of the population, with not being able to adapt to the new technology, and things like that because we are aging and so on and so forth. Definitely, we are super poor. So in order to solve this, I would say that if you live in Japan but have your income in a different currency, for example, if you were a freelancer in your own country and you continue that job even if you're in Japan, and you receive your pay income in different currency, but you still live in Japan, it means you get to get more money to buy things cheaply, right? So if you are able to create such a system for yourself, I would say you'll be able to live a really well life actually. But if you're going to be living in Japan and working in a Japanese company and receiving your money, your pay in Japanese yen, I would say that you'll be involved in Japan's poorness. So that is one thing that I would definitely say that you should avoid. But there are ways to avoid it. There's very obvious, clear ways to avoid it. For example, us, we are running YouTube, but most of our audience are outside of Japan. So, for example, if they pay us super chats for us, that would mean that would be not in yen. So we'll benefit from it, right? Yeah. So that's just the system, how you maintain your money. So there are definitely ways to control that. And number two, I would say that Japan, as we all know, is quite exclusive, as a society, which I really think is very, very silly. If I use a stronger word, I would say it's stupid, because there's definitely a lot of things that we must learn from people from overseas, and we need to be much humble. I mean, I always think, wasn't the good thing about Japanese culture is that we're humble, right? Where did that go, kind of thing. But anyways, definitely, if you're especially from overseas, if you're not Japanese, I believe you will experience a lot of those moments of not completely discrimination, but not feeling that you're accepted in the community or in a circle, kind of thing. I always hear from my friends who are originally from overseas, and even myself, right? I experienced a lot of bullying, and I'm definitely not the typical Japanese person that everyone wants me to be. So they can be a little bit exclusive. Well, not a little bit, very exclusive at times. But this also can be solved too, because am I living very unhappily right now? The answer is absolutely no, because I am able to work with the people who I love, where I love, and love what I do. So if you're capable of finding the community, the right community that will accept you, there are tons of people who think the same way as I do. It's good. Discrimination against anyone or anything is very the terrible thing to do, and they don't want to do that, and they would love to have friends from overseas. There are tons of communities like that, especially in the younger generation. So if you just, even if you feel that, oh my gosh, I might not be accepted so much, you just have to find the right place to go. That was the same for me too, you know. So especially for me, it was I'm sorry I'm talking about myself, but it was a little bit hard for me because I am supposed to be Japanese but still wasn't accepted, so there was literally nowhere for me to go in the beginning, right? Where am I supposed to go? This is supposed to be where my hometown is, but my hometown didn't accept me. Then where should I go, kind of thing, right? Yeah, but still, even I was able to live happily. So of course there might be some hard times, but that's probably the same wherever you go in this world. So if you look for the right people, what I'm trying to say here is that I don't want anyone to think that all Japanese people are always exclusive, so no one will accept me forever. That's absolutely not right. If you choose the right community, maybe if you're interested in training in traditional culture, for example, if you go to a classroom and start learning there, the people there will definitely accept you, for example, you know. So yeah, I think it might take some time. You might have experienced some bad things, but in the end, you will definitely be able to find a good place you can stay and feel safe, I'm sure. And I guess like this last thing that I was thinking while I was just talking right now is that related to the poor thing I just talked in the beginning, but in Japan, the elderly who are older are always the superior, right? Because of the senpai kohai concept, you know, the older people are always more important than the younger people. So I think you might feel a little bit of stress due to that, you know. It's not very logical at times. That's just simply a system that Japan has carried on for a long time. So that's the same in politics too. Even though it's very obvious that not using money to support kids or supporting parents who are willing to have kids will definitely make the economy weaker, you know, and eventually make the society collapse. It's very obvious. Even probably elementary school student can probably understand that if they learn about it. But they still continue to use money for the elderly in Japan, and the reason why is because they have the most number of votes, right? The population in Japan, the elderly is just so big. It's just so much easier to get votes and popularity to do good things about the elderly. And that is applied in so many other things too, not just politics, but even in a small community. Even if you form a small community somewhere, most of the people there are old, because Japan is an aging society, right? So basically, for example, let's say we have this convenience store. How about we start using e-money here? Like let's bring in the system of paying with an application on a phone. Again, the community is filled with old people. They'd be like, I don't even have a smartphone. I don't even have a smartphone. What is an application? I've never even heard of that before, so that's not going to be happening. Why are we going to be using our community money to do that kind of thing? And this is completely my point of view, but I would definitely feel a lot of stress every single time that the progress in Japan, everything we do is just so slow. We hardly make any progress in anything. And that's again because Japan is very, very old. So then everyone, as I always say, the ultimate goal of my life is to make all Japan lovers' dreams come true. So I know there's a lot of people studying Japanese willing to come to Japan to study, travel, or work, as we've been talking about today, and even train in traditional culture and such. However, I am very afraid that Japan will not be able to make everyone's dreams come true in the future because we're facing a lot of social problems, we are losing our traditional culture, and the younger generations who are supposed to be carrying on the good things about Japan are dying, even though they are the really small population in the first place, you know, because of all the social issues being up against them. So I really want to dedicate my life to try to make Japan a better place. I want to try to preserve the traditional culture, I want to try to solve the social problems, and also help out the younger generation so they can have a brighter future. And to do that, the nearest goal I have right now is to achieve 2 million subscribers by January 2023 on my main channel. So your likes and comments will help boost my videos to new viewers who have never seen my channel before. It'd be great if you can help me out. Thank you so much, guys. And I love to receive your comments about any other questions you have you would like to ask my opinion about. And yeah, again, Hitomi7, thank you so much for a comment. If you've ever lived in Japan before, visited Japan before, if there's any other pros and cons you'd like to add, please let me know in the comments too. Alright, thank you so much, guys. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.